I got it.
for both going out to the stream.
This is going back and over.
So, roll call?
Shoving a bunch of cables back and forth.
Please.
So, if you instead use just the onboard microphone
Yes,
there
no,
for
I'm
stream
coming
audio.
back into open.
Yes.
Being teeny.
I really
Marlo.
jacked up this whole thing.
Yes. Okay. Ronstadt?
Yes.
I vote yes. Friedland?
Yes.
Grimpy?
Yes.
Pfister?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay,
No.
I gotta
I
get.
don't think it's on.
I gotta get. Oh, the mic. Hang on. I gotta get it. They got me in board book already. Again. Okay, so are you fixing all this?
So if you want us to go in and bear with us on the audio, we're just down here to try to get our new mic.
Oh, way better.
Way better from the onboard? So that's weird, considering it should not be that way, but it is. So, I don't know. I mean, clearly if one sounds better.
just to keep everybody up to date, we had a closed session prior to this. We've already called to order, pledge of allegiance, did a roll call, then went into closed session. We've come back into open session, and we're up to the consent agenda. So looking over the consent agenda, are there any items that a member would like to remove and further discuss, or is there a question of clarification? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda in its entirety, which includes the following: Board of Education meeting minutes from February 11th, 2025, Board of Education closed session meeting minutes, February 11th, Board of Education special meeting minutes, February 18th, Board of Education special meeting minutes closed session, February 18th, our personnel report, actual payrolls, bills and checks, declassification of minutes, destruction of tapes, RTMS furniture purchase phase 2, technology department reorganization, and the technology FOA. Memo of understanding.
So moved.
Friedland, second by B. Keen. Any comments or questions? Mrs. Johnson, could you please call roll?
Yes. I vote yes. Freeland?
Yes.
Marlowe?
Yes.
Ronstadt?
Yes.
Rickety?
Yes.
Fister?
Yes.
And King?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next up is RTEA comments. Bob, you have the floor. Good to see you, sir.
Likewise, good evening. On behalf of the RTA Executive Committee and the entire membership, I'd like to thank the Board of Education and the administration for the excellent ongoing working relationship that we have. I'd like to also thank the Board of Education for approving the purchase of the interactive clear touch panels for Indian Grove. I think that this is a great opportunity to bring Indian Grove really truly into the 21st century and to put them on the same wavelength as Euclid. I'd like to also thank Dr. Megerly. Her and I got a chance to work together for a couple of hours on an extra duty audit, and it's really a testament to what kind of a leader she is and how passionate she is about doing things, that she's not just like, oh yeah, this is fine. No, we really got into it and going over things, and it's excellent to see from upper admin. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next up is visitors' comments. At this time, I'd like to recognize any member of the audience who approach the board with their comment or question by completing a visitor comment card. Please do note that the board and administration typically does not respond, and if you wish for a response, please provide your name and number or email for a member of the board or administration to get back to you. Speakers are encouraged to limit their time for others to participate. A 3-minute time limit per speaker with an overall 60-minute maximum for visitor comment per our current policy. Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to board communications. This is an open agenda item for all board members. Anything anyone would like to add?
I would love
Please
to
do.
say how amazing last night's concert was for the beginning band, concert band, and jazz band. As always, Mr. Smith delivered a beautiful show. It was a great, eclectic, I think, picking of different works, and it's just really fun to go. And there were a lot of students honored for the solo ensemble and for the for competing. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess it up. In another music group at Hersey, I think. So it was just wonderful. And then we had Mr. Heil from Hersey come and be I guess conductor. So it was really it was fun. It was neat. But the kids did great.
And the week before, I was at the orchestra concert, and the progress that those kids have made. Mr. Luke did this one. He's a really fan favorite. If you haven't met Mr. Luke, kids really respond well to him. They really like it. And it's great to see the progress that they made at the concert.
And just to keep going with our amazing music department, we also had the bucket band and chorus the week before. So for anyone who wanted to join me for all 3 concerts, because I got to go to all 3, but it was also always a superb performance from Mr. Flowers. So it was just really fun. It's just a neat, fun thing to go, and if anybody ever gets the chance, I always suggest to go at least one time. It's very fun.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to throw a plug out there for the, was it the Wednesday, the 19th Little Mermaid show at the middle school. So excited about that.
Next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Next, not tomorrow.
No.
Next week.
Okay.
Right.
So I gotta go to that too.
Right.
Yes. Quick.
Every week.
I attended several events, and I want to say that the theme is, these couldn't have couldn't have been accomplished without our great teachers and staff and working extra time. So the first was Indian Grove Literacy Night. They had a huge turnout. It was really fun. They had free volunteers, tons of stations. There was popcorn. It was just really fun. Then I was able to unpack the place, so thanks for that, great PTC. But it really, the turnout was great, and the support of the teachers and the staff across the district for the middle school. That's what made that happen.
So one of the games on those?
I think the teachers won the basketball game. We won't talk about the volleyball, how that went, but it was not as close as basketball. And then I was able to miss the teacher night for Indian Grove. I know Euclid also had a great turnout. Friends, nice. Yes. It's
I
a
tried to
party.
go to the Euclid one.
It's a party.
And did you
A
ride through?
party. I parked in FedEx. It was great, and just the enthusiasm and excitement.
And anytime you get to see somebody dressed up in an apple
There
pie
was
box,
pies.
I mean, it's.
There was hugs from pies, rallying of pies. And last but not least was I was able to attend a little snippet of the middle school fuel update on last Friday, Thursday. It's just, the kids were so into it, they had so much fun, but I think giving us space, and all the teachers, they each own their station. Like, there were smoothies, there was snack making, there was self-defense, there was Zumba and yoga, and all supported by the teachers. So, I know the smoothie, they went out and got 11 pieces of yogurt that night before. So, all the effort that went into it was just really awesome. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Sorry. Yeah, it was great to see all the board members at, I'm sorry, Kim wasn't able to make it, but it was great to see everybody else there. We received the Illinois Association of School Board Governance Recognition Award, so it was nice to kind of puff our chest up for the evening and see that. So thanks everybody for attending. I know we all know a lot of stuff going on, so take time out of your evening to join us was great. So thanks for coming.
Well, I wanted to say that the topic was AI, and then we did a poll if we had an AI policy, and we were one of the few that were able to say yes.
Absolutely. You're well versed in that one.
Special recognition Bill, Janine, and Donna for their years of service, serving on the school board. Donna, more experience.
Well, it's not a surprise, but Donna doesn't always sign up for all the events that she attends, so she doesn't get credit for everything. Is that right?
I attend them, but you're supposed to fill out a form so you can get points. I'm not a points person.
Dessert person.
I'm a dessert person. So I go to the event so I can get dessert, not points. And so I've been on the board many years, and they were recognizing people who had more than 25 years, and I had more than 20. I had more than 30. But because I didn't turn in my points, I don't get recognized. But everybody on this board and in our school district knows. So that's all it matters.
Well, that is for me. Thank you, Melissa. That's nice. All right, next up is our district recognition. River Trail School District 26 was awarded the 2025 School District Library Grant for $1,245.20. Thank you, Ms. Bonnie from the Euclid School Learning Resource Center. She's the director for submitting the grant application. And the next up is for 2025, those who excel nominees in the Teacher of the Year Award.
Do you want to join me?
Oh, sweet. That's what I have.
I need to bring one of these?
No, pick one of them because when you would not stand there, you would like, you're
All right. Okay. So recognition and thanks tonight. Thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate
Those Who Excel nominees. So Those Who Excel program is a long-standing tradition in the state of Illinois. So it allows districts to nominate staff across 7 different categories. I've had the privilege of nominating outstanding staff members for the past almost 20 years. And so during that time, for myself, the process has changed and evolved over the years. So in recent years, the process has shifted a little bit to place more responsibility on the nominee themselves, which is very new. Previously, you could nominate someone and they had no idea, which was always a great surprise when the letter came in the mail. So it's significantly shifted that nomination process. But so it did put more on our nominees, which I'm very grateful for the time that you all put into it. I don't think we realized how much work it would be until we really got in the thick of things. So I think another notable change is how they also issue awards. In the past, for as long as I can remember, every nominee earned an award of recognition. But now it seems, not to my liking, that ISBE has become more selective in their process. And so not all nominees that we submitted would earn the same level of recognition as they had given in the past. So I really just want to say and make it very clear for the board that, you know, to us, it doesn't really matter whether or not anyone in this room was selected by our state board, but we are incredibly fortunate to have some of the most dedicated and exceptional educators working for us here in River Trails. The awards are a meaningful form of recognition, but they do not define the incredible impact that everyone has had on our students in the classroom and beyond. So, like I had mentioned, I'm personally disappointed that not all of our nominees were chosen, but I hope they know that their contributions are completely invaluable to our district, and the worth is not measured by this recognition. So that's my little disclaimer there. Yeah, so I did want to kind of go through our process, what this process is. So it opens up in early September, and so we had shot out to the principals to send us some nominees, send the cabinet some nominees. So we had started with 11 recommendations, which is a lot, but it's great, and it's not that easy to kind of thin from there. So in October, Cabinet selected the final nominees for the application process, and we narrowed that to 4 groups. And then in November, the application opens, and you can see here some of the responsible parties for the pieces of the application. So the nominee now has to fill out the application info and background. The principal submits like a professional biography or a statement, if you will, on the candidate. The nominee has to put together or update their resume. I'm sure several of these people haven't looked at their resume in a lot of years because they've worked in this district a long time. And then gather letters of recommendation. And then there's also an essay response. I know that was probably their favorite part. So then all of that gets submitted at the end of November, and then we wait. And December. And then in January, we wait. And then in February, finally, the winners are announced. And again, these used to be letters that would come to the district office, so we would know, you know, who was earning what level of recognition. Well, now they send the results to the nominees, which is great, but you're sitting there not knowing what's happening and when it's happening. So, and then in May, they do a nice banquet down in Bloomington Normal. So that's kind of like the whole process. It's pretty long, and it's very in-depth. But aside from that, I am excited, and I have the pleasure of introducing our nominees from District 26. So first is Marisol. Come on up here. Mr. Griffey has a pin for you, so you can stay here while I talk about you. Unless Mrs. Batesman wants to talk about you. So this was part of the nomination that was submitted on Marisol's behalf, but I'm going to read it, and it's 1,000% true, starting off. Marisol is truly a gem at Prairie Trail School. Her unwavering dedication ensures that every corner of our school is not only clean and safe, but also welcoming to students, staff, and visitors alike. Her exceptional work ethic shines through in everything she does, and her meticulous attention to detail is evident in the environment she helps maintain. Beyond her technical skills, Marisol brings a genuine sense of pride to her work, making our school a place where everyone feels valued and cared for. Her contributions are a cornerstone of the positive atmosphere we all enjoy at Prairie Trails. And Marisol always has a smile. Like, it's so wonderful. You see her all over the building, always smiling, like really is truly a gem at Prairie Trails. And so we appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next is our Euclid Elementary multilingual team. Yes, come up, stand with me. Martha Tanis, Jen Seisel, Margaret Mascarillo, and Kristen Oh no, you stay. Well, I read about you. Euclid's multilingual team members work seamlessly across 3 different teams. Their own team, their grade level teaching team, and a 5th grade partner teacher. With a relentless commitment to meeting the needs of their multilingual students, they use data to plan small group lessons, co-plan, co-taught lessons, consult with partner teachers, and collaborate to address the unique challenges faced by individual learners, particularly the growing number of newcomer students. Their hard work paid off last school year with 31% of our multilingual students exiting the program on Access compared to the district's exit rate of 18%. We are deeply grateful for their leadership, expertise, and collaboration. Thank you. So the multilingual team, they were honored with the Award of Excellence in the team category from ISBE. Indian Grove Elementary, Philomena. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, don't be shy. This is the quietest I think I've ever All right, Stacy and Philomena, they are part of the intervention team at Indian Grove. They are incredibly hardworking, adaptable, and collaborative professionals who have made a profound impact on our school community. Over the past 4 years, they have transformed the RTI process, ensuring it is more effective and student-centered than ever. Their dedication, both in the classroom and in their own specialized setting, has been instrumental in consistently meeting the goal of reducing the number of students performing at or below the 35th percentile in reading and math each year. Beyond their direct work with students, Stacy and Philomena enrich the school culture by planning, organizing, and executing our annual Family Literacy Night, a treasured event that brings families together and fosters a love of learning. Their relentless commitment to both academic achievement and community building makes them invaluable members of the Indian Grove team. Thank you. And Noelle is not able to be here tonight. I know she's been feeling under the weather, but we are going to celebrate her nonetheless. Noelle is a learning behavior specialist, a special education teacher at the middle school, and earned the award of special recognition. Noelle consistently goes above and beyond to ensure her students thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. She expertly tailors her teaching strategies to meet the diverse needs of each student, creating an inclusive and nurturing environment where all learners can excel. Noelle's exceptional patience, boundless creativity, and unwavering commitment to her students' growth not only inspire those in her classroom, but also motivate her colleagues. Her dedication to fostering confidence and independence in students with diverse learning challenges reflects her deep passion for making a lasting, transformative impact. Noelle's approach goes far beyond instruction. It's a testament to her relentless drive to empower students and elevate the entire learning community. So again, thank you to all our nominees. I know it's not easy to escape to come to a all being here. We value you and appreciate everything you do for our students. So just with that, thank you again, and I'm so happy you guys could be here.
Unless you want to stay. Like, I have to go see about it.
We do cupcakes for you though, feel free to grab cupcakes. Alright, next up then is education services, from the new business, education services. The first one is our technology update. This is an information item. Before you get started, thank you again on that awesome demo. That's good.
Yes, thank you for engaging with the Clear Touch panel. I think sometimes it's hard to truly understand sort of what they are, and you hear them described, but then to actually touch them and feel how seamlessly it's responsive and how kind of different sorts of things that we have for students to use is really exciting.
And how limitlessly.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable.
yeah, it truly is. And I feel like we're just scratching the surface. Well, thank you for letting me come in tonight and give you kind of an update, sort of a follow-up from the November presentation. So we'll be addressing the same items that I addressed back in November, but just a follow-up for how things have progressed, where we are now. And then we've woven the FREEDOM acronym in through this entire presentation because I've really kind of connected with that and thinking about family technology, especially when it comes to students, for flexibility, reliability, engagement, and empowerment. So the first item that we'll discuss is the Clear Touch panels. So the Clear Touch panels really lend themselves to the acronym of FREEDOM. I think first of all because of the flexibility, that if you walk into any classroom that has a Clear Touch panel, oftentimes you'll see students engaging in different things. You know, it might be a student or two up at the panel, there might be other students meeting with the teacher, other students at different stations. So it really does allow the flexibility for different things to be happening in the classroom. And then not least of all is the fact that because this is a full PC computer embedded onto the wall for those teachers that have panels, the teacher does not then need to use their device. They can actually fully engage with the panel and use it just as a full computer. And because of that, it has allowed us then to move towards Chromebook Plus devices for all teachers for next year. And so we will not be providing teachers with panels with 2 teacher devices any longer. So instead of providing each staff member with a PC and also a Chromebook, staff that have the panels will now have their panel, and then they'll also have a new Chromebook Plus device. So this has really given us the flexibility to move away from providing teachers with 2 devices. Also, reliability, these are really stable. They're all hardwired just for that extra level of stable internet connection. And then the components being all in one. They don't have bulbs that burn out. They don't have fans. They're just all in one, and they've been very stable and reliable. Clearly, they're very engaging. Students can touch them, interact with them. They're very bright, and they're very loud. So these are things that really kind of grab students' attention and make them really engaging.
And then finally, empowering, because students are able to get up, move around, they're able to actually engage physically with the panels. That's really empowering for students, even the littlest ones, which there was a photo in this presentation, I think, where there's a preschool student who has a pointer and he's pointing at the panel and being able to engage with it in that way. Staff support opportunities. This clearly was a major priority for us this year because this was a huge change for all of our staff, for Euclid staff especially. So we had a 2-day on-site professional development session that was led by Clear Touch. We'll have that again in August for our Indian Grove teachers and then some of the RTMS teachers that will be getting panels as well. In addition to the 2-day on-site visit, we had several summer drop-in sessions for those teachers that will be getting panels, as well as a required kind of day of institute day sessions all day long for those Euclid teachers to kind of get some just-in-time support for using their panels on day one. In addition to that, we provided several at Euclid Thursday late start PD staff meetings where they were learning different things with the panels. They were learning how to create some of those lesson activities that we were looking at earlier, and then connecting them onto the panel themselves. And then at this coming April Institute Day, we'll also be offering a teacher assistant Clear Touch panel training session too, because the TAs are really interested in learning more about the panels as well. And then finally, for the last several months of this school year, I've been going over to Euclid once a week before school starts, and we'll have several teachers drop in just to learn some new things to kind of keep the PD and the learning for the panels moving forward. So I'm envisioning something really similar for Indian Grove and those RTMS teachers, just the opportunities throughout the school year from formal sessions to drop-in sessions, and those kinds of things I think really meet the needs of all teachers as to where they're at and how much more they want to learn. The long-term vision for the Clear Touch panels, it really started last spring break when, in anticipation of getting an entire fleet of panels at Euclid, we wanted to start with just a few, really so our tech team could practice how to implement them, how to set them up properly, and then because Prairie Trails is right next door, it was very convenient and it really made sense to start with Prairie Trails with 3 kindergarten classrooms, 2 kindergarten classrooms, the workroom, teacher lounge, and a preschool classroom. And then, of course, in the summer of last year was our big bulk order for Euclid. And then this past December, we purchased 4 more for Prairie Trails kindergarten classrooms. And then in August of this coming year will be our big bulk order for Indian Grove. And then as well as our first 10 panels for River Trails Middle School. And then after that, over the next few years, we would like to finish out the middle school and install about 15 panels over the next 2 summers. And then that will complete our full transition away from projectors or Vivies to the Clear Touch panels, and that will allow all students and staff to have access to these really incredible devices. Moving on to cybersecurity. So cybersecurity, we also fit into the Freedom Framework. So for flexibility, because again of the panels, we've been able to really significantly reduce starting next year our PC Windows environment, because we will be pulling back all of the current PC devices that are deployed to our staff. By doing so, we will significantly improve our cybersecurity environment because Chromebooks are much, much more secure than Windows devices are, because they're not subject to viruses, malware, things like that. So by eliminating or really significantly reducing our Windows environment, we'll be truly enhancing our cybersecurity environment in a way that I think not a lot of districts have been able to. So I'm excited for our district that we've been able to kind of make that happen for next year. And then in addition, we have a new filter system. GoGuardian Filter is a really fantastic system that's allowed us to truly refine and improve what we're able to catch and filter from student devices. In addition, we just are excited to have rolled out the Go Guardian Parent app. And so this has allowed families to have this app on their phone, which then allows families to manage their child's Chromebook while at home. They can turn the internet on and off, and they can also block certain websites while they are at their homes. So that's been a lot of increased flexibility for families. Reliability, I think, because of some recent test cases, we've been able to see and be confident that the tools for cybersecurity that we have in place are working, and our partnership with Forward Edge has been successful, and that we've been able to successfully mitigate and shut down a few ransomware attack that was kind of real and was targeting our district. So we're really happy to have seen that those tools did what they were supposed to do. Engagement, we've been making a big effort to engage our staff in cybersecurity efforts as well by engaging in phishing campaigns, and so every staff member with a district email address has been a recipient. You all have been as well, whether you know it or not, of phishing emails. So they're simulated phishing emails. And so we have a dashboard we're able to see percentages of people that have clicked on things, people that have filled in information, people that have reported phishing emails that they suspect. And we really have a lot of staff members, sometimes even overzealously, like reporting things, you know. And so that's good though, but we'd rather have people over-report, because nothing bad happens if you over-report than under-report. So we feel like there's a lot of staff engagement and awareness. And then same with empowerment. So it's really empowering staff, I think, to like take charge and feel like they're helping safeguard our student and staff data and our systems.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I've gotten a couple emails where I'm like, I'm shocked that got through the filter. And I flag it, and that makes sense now.
Yes, yes. So those will be our phishing simulations. So here on the next slide, I actually had a few kind of test emails to see what you thought and to see if you wanted to guess which ones were phishing or not. So these are all real emails that our staff have flagged. Some of them were phishing, but some of them were real emails. So the first one up in the top left, you're invited to an Imagine Learning webinar series. That was flagged as phishing, but that was a real email. The one in the bottom left, request to update bank account for payroll. That was received by our payroll specialist who flagged it as phishing, but that was a real email. The next one, important request for review from Dr. Carmen Garcia, superintendent, regarding a document from Dr. Jody Medley. A lot of our staff members received this email and marked it as phishing, and it was phishing. So that was a good catch. The one up at the top, your 1095 form is now available. That was marked as phishing by a lot of our staff, but that was a real email. So sometimes they can get confusing. The one at the top right, international teacher applicant, that was phishing. And then bottom, David Diggs sent you a money request. That was phishing as well. So we have them set at kind of a higher difficulty level because phishing scams are getting so sophisticated that we want people to realize that not all phishing is like super obvious anymore. Like you really have to look for some different things. And then for anyone who fails 2 or more tests, then they actually get put into like a training group, and then there's like a video and a little exercise that we ask them to complete just for that extra training. Recent incidents, we did have a big power breach, a power school data breach, which affected pretty much all of power schools' clients all across the world. So this was in the news. This is something that did affect our district as well, but Power School has assured its customers that none of the data actually was released onto the dark web. Most likely they paid to have the paper reserved so that they did not release the data. Luckily though, for our staff and students, we do not store social security numbers in Power School, so that was never something that we were concerned about. But just to be extra cautious, Power School, because we were involved, they have started sending out emails to staff and families, advising of some opportunities for identity protection. And then we did have a January cybersecurity incident, so a staff Windows laptop was compromised, and luckily, like I alluded to earlier, our district tools, cybersecurity tools, and our partners successfully identified and mitigated this threat immediately, and then the FBI then a few weeks later notified us that there was this ransomware attack pending, but we were able to connect that it was from the previous incident, which had already been mitigated. So we were able to see from the FBI, this was like a real threat. It actually had been targeted, but our tools and our partner, and working together with them, we were able to successfully shut that down. Okay, and then lastly, artificial intelligence, lots of stuff happening here, very, very exciting. So Magic School is the platform that we, after trying a few things last year, we decided to go with that. And I think we're really happy about it because it's a Magic School platform that was designed by and for educators. And that makes it just something that is perfect, I think, for us and for our environment right now. So it's primarily a staff tool. Really, our staff have access to Magic School, and they can create rubrics, design lesson hooks, they can level texts, they can generate social stories, translate texts, unpack standards, and more. And then students, I want to really emphasize that student access to Magic School is in a walled garden, so it's not something that students have open access to. I do have a little activity for us to do if we have the time for that, but basically our teacher will give students a special link, and then that link will take them into a special room that the teacher has set up. It doesn't collect student data at all, so the student just types their name in, and then once they're in this room, the teacher has selected what tool they want the student to use. So there's like 50 plus student tools, but the teacher says, for this activity, we're going to use this tool, which is, let's say, Quiz Me, and the teacher can customize Quiz Me about this article that they'll have attached that the AI will then create a quiz for. So it's in no means an open AI experience for students. It's very controlled, and also the teacher through the dashboard, live dashboard, can see everything that's happening while the students are taking. They can see what the students are saying. They can see how the chatbot's responding. So it's a great way for students to experience the AI and experience what is AI, how can I use it for learning, but within a very, very controlled environment. So for Magic School, for the flexibility, content creation, and time management, these are some of the biggest ways that we see teachers using Magic School. Also reliability, you can have text made accessible, it's consistent, you can have lots of different kinds of resources generated. Engagement, one of the great things about Magic School is that it can help you jumpstart your creativity. If you're just like stuck for what's a great way to introduce this lesson on immigration or something, you can have some really great, it generates some really great ideas for you. And then finally, empowerment. It's just like another tool for teachers to use in their toolbox to help them make their work more efficient, more effective, and more creative. And then there in green is just a email I received from a teacher just saying, thank you so much for Magic School. It really helps streamline her report card comment writing. So she was able to put in strengths and areas for growth for a student, and then you put that into the Magic School report card comment generator, and it actually takes that teacher input, puts it into then just some nice phrasing for report card comments. The teacher, of course, will look at it and review, make any edits, and then it can just make that process go a lot faster and be even more effective. Just a quick screenshot of the over 80 plus tools that teachers have access to in Magic School, and then these are just a few of them like I mentioned. And then for students, so students, they can have personalized learning and they can have different outputs. So I was helping a teacher in 4th grade do the Quiz Me Magic student experience, and the students were able to ask the AI questions about how to study for this vocabulary test. And so if they could have conversations with the AI, they could say, could you explain that, or could you give me a hint? So it really made this learning personalized. for the students. Same reliability, engagement, and empowerment. It just puts students kind of in the driver's seat for that experience and allow them to kind of determine what kinds of information may be best to support their learning. And then this is also an email I got from a student who had used it with her middle school students. She said they loved the quiz me and didn't want me to close it. Over 50 student tools that you can choose from. And then, would you, yeah, okay. So you all should have in your board packet a link that says join room. Do you see that? Okay, if you click join room, so this is what we're gonna do. We're all in a second grade class right now. We're learning about women in STEM, and we'll be chatting with Jane Goodall. What questions do you have for her? So click join room.
Where is this link? Sorry. Oh, right there. I saw it.
And so, Patty, if you can go back to my slide deck, and there should be instructions for what to do on the next slide. So the first thing you do is type in your name. Then you'll have to agree that you will comply with the rules of using it responsibly. And then for step 3, the only tool you'll have access to is this character chatbot, which I already set up for you. Step 4, you click generate.
We don't click on that tool?
Yeah.
You click on that tool?
Click on that tool.
Okay.
Yep, and then click generate. And then it's going to start talking to you. And then you'll have an opportunity to actually ask it a question. So some of the ways that I made your room tailored to you is I said you were in 2nd grade, so the language should be a little bit lower than if I said you were in 11th grade. I also said only answer in 3 sentences. I didn't want it to go on for a paragraph because you're in 2nd grade. So we've had several student groups use this specific AI tool. We've had them do Jane Goodall, we've had them do Martin Luther King Jr. during Black History Month, around Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And you can also, in addition to figures from history, you could do current figures, you can do characters from books. So you could do Charlotte from Charlotte's Web, and it'll answer like the spider. So this is just a little experience to see what the students have access to and how kind of engaging it is and how simple it is, even for the littlest ones.
So the teacher saw what my question was, his question from, okay.
Yeah, so if
something was inappropriate.
Yeah, so if I was, if my...
I was just gonna try, never mind.
If my screen was up there, you would see that I could see all of your chats right now, and I can click on any of your names and I could see what exactly your conversation is.
Okay.
And then if somebody does say something inappropriate, a little flag will show up on my dashboard immediately, and I can click on that and I can see what it was you said. And then also the AI will respond to you and say, let's make sure we're learning about what we're supposed to be learning about.
Do you want my example?
Excuse me, can I try?
Yeah, sure. Because I put, what if my brother acts like a chimpanzee?
Oh yes, oh I see that.
Oh yeah, and it totally goes and it turns it around like almost like an SEL thing, like where it's telling me, it says we should behave like our best selves at home and in school. Maybe you and your brother would enjoy learning about real behavior.
I said I love monkeys, and they're like, correct, monkeys are not.
They're not.
So that's super fun.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I like those around too.
Yeah.
How forgiving is it for kids?
I think it's pretty forgiving. Yeah, I think so. And we've told teachers, if like a 1st or 2nd grade class wanted to try this, you could do it where it's just the teacher typing and the whole class class is asking questions, so it's like the class and the chatbot. So there's different ways to go about it, but we just thought it'd be fun for you all to give it a try. And I think that was my last slide, so thank you.
Thank you. So how do I get out of this?
You don't get to talk about chimps or whatever.
Just close
Just
it.
close the window.
Oh,
Yeah. Got it. I didn't hear that.
it's how I'm going on about it.
Have you been in a chamber as long as I have been on it?
No, this is great.
Yeah, nice.
And that's a nice compliment to what we learned at the North Cook Day. I know you care, which is what we learned. It's nice. They go together really well.
It's a nice comparison to see what's open for the world and how we take that and keep it, keep it tight for our kids, but also give some freedom to staff and students to do more.
And it saved you from all of the questions I had. Because I asked all my questions on the OpenAI, and I got those all answered, so I don't have to ask you, do we have OpenAI and all my questions, so.
And
The two are really different.
they are, and just so you all are confident, we do not have ChatGPT or any of the OpenAI enabled for students.
But we're still leaving this open for teacher discretion, correct? So like if
Yes.
they're using it like this, and then they're using like Gemini or anything else that they want.
Sure, teachers
Okay.
can use anything they want to.
Okay.
Or if they would like to involve students, it has to do with Magic School. And Magic School doesn't even collect student names, or it doesn't require students to sign with Google or anything. So that's why it's very anonymized for students, and then it's very restricted within just that one room. And then once the room is done, the teacher can even lock the room, so even if the students went back later, they couldn't access it.
And I just want to add that after going to the dinner session, I went home that night and I talked with my grandson, who is, he's going to be 20 in a couple of weeks. And he was there with his girlfriend, and I said, oh, guess what I did? We were talking about AI, and I'm just kind of curious. Are you guys using AI in college? And the two of them looked at each other, and he said to her, do you remember when we were in high school and they banned us from AI? We couldn't use it, they blocked it. We couldn't use AI, and now it's this big thing, everybody uses AI. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Do you use AI? And he said, nope, I don't. And I said to her, because she's going for an advertising degree, and she said, no, I don't like it. It's the most god-awful thing out there. Hang on. And my grandson said, he reiterated what we were told after dinner. The AI that's out there now is the worst version of AI because it's in the beginning. And as time goes on, just like MySpace and all those other things, as time goes on, it gets better. But right now, it's like dial-up, you know. And that's what my grandson was saying. He said, I don't use it. And so it's very interesting that we're on the cutting edge of moving forward. You know, our school district is moving forward with it and introducing our kids to it, so that by the time they get to high school, it's not banned there anymore. It's not banned there now, but they'll really know what they're doing by the time they get there.
I agree, and that's one of the reasons I really wanted to see if we could introduce this, because I think if kids only grow up hearing it's for cheating, it's for, you know, these kinds of things, and that's all they'll use it for, as opposed to having some good learning experiences early on, then they'll know some of the things that are possible.
No, and there are quite a few applications for it, even in terms of operations, you know, I mean, just just one of the things I use it for all the time is meeting notes. You know, I'm on phone calls and stuff, I have you know, an assistant, an AI assistant, and it takes I use Copilot, but
Okay.
it takes fantastic notes for a meeting, gets the to-dos, the summaries, everything.
That's what Patty uses.
That's what Patty's using. Well, you should try it, Patty. It literally can take the meeting minutes of our meeting here and give you something to start with. It still needs to be checked over.
But it's in the beginning stages, and maybe it's a little bit more than the beginning, because the beginning is when it was banned. And now it's moving on, so, pretty cool.
Thank you. Any other questions before? Great, thank you. All right, next up is business services. Alicia, you're still up.
You're still up.
Psych.
Want something up?
Do you want anything else?
This was the memo for E-rate. And so E-rate worked again with Dave Wilson, who's our E-rate consultant. Dave received a handful of bids, and once again, E2 Services has been the best price bid, as well as just kind of the best overall according to his matrix. We've worked with them now for several years, and they're excellent in responsiveness and support. They also helped us with our ransomware issue a few weeks ago, and so we were pleased that they were the winners of this bid again. And so they will be the ones that will award the bid for the switches and wireless access points, etc. at Indian Road for the renovation. It's real similar to what we purchased for you for this last year.
All right, let me entertain a motion and a second to approve the purchase of network switches and additional components for E2 services at a cost not to exceed $62,294.48 out of the fiscal year 26 budget.
Second.
Moved by Fisker, seconded by Ronstadt. Any comments or questions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I noticed in the memo it says that 50% of the district, of the equipment will be reimbursed.
Yes.
Okay. Who's reimbursing that?
Yeah.
The E-rate, and where, yes, but where does that money from, where do we get that money from? The federal government?
Yeah, it's through USAC, which is currently kind of under review right now, but that's where that money comes from.
They're under the FCC,
Mm-hmm.
and it's technically they're using money that comes from the taxes that are on your phone bills. So that's where they get the pile of.
Okay, is there a possibility we won't be getting that?
Not this year, no, we'll get this money.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Good question.
And I also want to say, thank you for putting in the matrix. I like looking at that.
Very helpful.
So did you consider any other vendors? I see all these are Aruba.
We did not. I was talking to my team about a different kind of Meraki. I don't remember what we were talking about, but because this is what we already have, it would be like a lot, a major overhaul to overhaul all of that. So we didn't consider any other vendors or makers.
Any other questions? Okay, please call roll.
Fister,
Yes.
Friedland,
Yes.
Grimpy,
Yes.
I vote yes. Camardo,
Yes.
Ronstadt,
Yes.
Bianchini.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is the electricity contract. Ryan, you are up, sir.
Thank you. So, looking at the electricity contract, our current contract is up May of this year, and we're looking to renew or create a new contract. As you can see, we are trying to continue with the same setup that we have now, having a peak price and an off-peak price for electricity going forward. Comparatively to the two other alternates, it was the best price. If we looked back at last year, the current contract provider was over for a year. And we saved, if we just kind of had one steady price, about $2,000 per school when doing the off-peak and on-peak times. Current pricing is down compared to where we were a year ago. And then we're looking to potentially extend whatever price is good. We get up to 4 years, so 1 year contract, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, whatever we get the best price, kind of lock that in for potentially up to 4 years. What was presented, the best price was 3 years. I think that's kind of a good idea, considering we would then have some real data on the new mechanical equipment at all the schools, based on all of the electrical use over the last 2 years, which was that graph was shown. Nothing was really shocking on there, but the nice thing that was consistent was prairie trails, where we've had mechanicals, where you kind of see over the year the humps that kind of come in. Also, based on that data, you can kind of see also we use more energy in the winter with the new kind of mechanical equipment. It takes more energy to create heat than it does to cool, so you kind of see it over the winter. But are there any questions about the electricity contract or what that might look like? Again, it is, from what I've been told, a very volatile market, and the prices you can only lock in for 24 hours. So basically, we would come back to the board next month. The board would approve us locking in a price within, before the current contract ends, and then we would lock in a favorable price. You know, if we go 1 day and it's higher, we can say, well, wait till tomorrow, you know, because it goes up and down. Kind of wait to lock in the price of that.
This is information I have, so this will be on the consent agenda next month. Do we know if we wouldn't have had this, how things would have panned out? Because basically this is like, to some degree, it's a contract rate, but it's also kind of insurance. Right?
It's insurance because, especially, I mean, you know, for 1 year I know what I'm gonna pay, at least the rate, so it's not gonna fluctuate every day, every month. You know, it really is locked in. It's like a mortgage or a car payment, right?
Yeah, but it can go, but my point is it can go either way. Like energy prices can drop, energy prices can go up.
Yep.
This is basically saying we're gonna commit to this rate, and the person offering this, or the company offering this, is basically, they're still gonna make some money, but their transaction, their value proposition is that we give you this flat amount, and you're gonna pay a little bit more when rates are lower, but you're gonna pay less when rates are higher.
Right, right. So yeah, that off-peak time, you know, I think in the winter, the on-peak time is from noon to.
And what I guess I'm trying to figure out is, are you able to calculate it at all to see, like, how did we do on this last round? If we fixed the price at X and actual rates were, did we make out on it, did we not?
Compared to like the on-peak, off-peak and the standard rate, or just compared to what we locked in at a year ago? Because I mean, technically right now the rates are down, so if we would have just had a volatile rate, we might have paid a little less, but at least we know what we're gonna pay. When we're
I'm not opposed to this, I'm just almost more curious than anything, just what the cost savings, either
What's the alternative?
floating, you float the rate.
Yeah, you float the rate, it can, you know, it can increase or decrease whenever you want, or, you know, you can lock in one rate, or another thing is, the last alternative was an index, which basically is you lock in all of the delivery fee and all the other fees that they charge, but you're paying an index, so based on what that rate is that day, you're paying a different rate for the energy you use that day, it fluctuates constantly.
Yeah, and again, it can both benefit and hurt.
Absolutely.
So, you know, most of us at home, whether we know it or not, we're on a floating rate structure unless we apply this. That's why we see
mean, just the volatility, as you can see now, just, you know, I don't know what happened in April of last year, but for some reason, you know,
Everybody was
supplying
using clear
energy to the
touch
whole
paint.
neighborhood. You know, so we're actually still looking into that, but, you know, as you can, there's volatility back and forth every month.
I wasn't talking usage, I was talking about the rates. But, I mean, but it's like,
Anybody else? Okay, we'll see that on the consent agenda next month. Next up is the solar panel contract. This is information and action for tonight.
So bringing forward, re-bringing forward the solar contract for Euclid, and then again, the new solar contract for Indian Grove, which we spoke about last month, about removing the trees and putting the solar on top of Indian Grove after construction, which will probably usually in the fall. This has nothing to do with the microgrid or the battery backup. This is solely just the solar panels on both schools. So this allows us to get going on Euclid potentially a little earlier, and also allows us to kind of lock in those rates. We're still able to maintain the same price as we were given last year, and then also kind of combine that price and that kilowattage price for Indian Grove also, kind of put those together, which was very favorable for the district. We haven't seen any decrease in over a year, even with potential tariffs or anything else in place. 92 Energy, which is the company we use with the RFP, is still maintaining that price for us. So we're very happy with that. Last month we were tasked with looking at some cash flows and some different scenarios when looking at the solar panels. If we just did the solar panels, kind of what funding would look like. Kind of that worst case scenarios, if we didn't get any federal funding, we only got the state and continental funding back. And as you can kind of see, it would take much longer to pay it off if we didn't get any federal funding back. I don't foresee that happening, but if that were to happen for whatever reason, you know, obviously there'd be some other cuts and adjustments that we would need to make, whether it be extending some other operations and maintenance equipment, maybe some trucks or something like that to kind of offset those costs. Now, after doing a little more research on a lot of the Inflation Reduction Act, they do have a safe harbor provision in that, which says that basically if you start construction, which is basically incurring 5% of the total cost, or actually beginning physical work, then you're locked in and able to get that incentive. So in that tax incentive, it is there. So if things were approved and we were able to start the contracts, pay the deposits, we would be part of that safe harbor provision as part of that tax credit. So there's still a lot of volatility within the federal government. You never know, but this is part of an IRS credit, which, you know, is basically tax, which, in my understanding, clearly taking act of Congress to overturn.
Would the start of the tree removal be considered construction, or will it have to wait until summer?
I would consider, because part of the provision is incur 5% of the total project cost. Part of the down payment is about 20%, so the down payment that we would be giving, which really the down payment for the whole project isn't even necessarily down payment for them to order all of the solar panels. It's really to start the interconnection agreements with Canada, to do some of the other engineering work that they need to do. The payment of that in and of itself, I'm not sure that the tree removal would count as that because it's not part of the site.
No, the contract, and I was hoping, yeah.
And it probably, hopefully, won't be 5% of the total cost.
Well, to that point, is there steps we can take to because there is risk with, I mean, quite frankly, this administration has been changing their mind based on which direction the wind blows lately on pretty important things. And there's been delays in payments across various systems, and there's been both threats and actions taken against schools based on their policies about social issues. So I do hesitate a little bit on this, but is there something we can do to get to that? You know, why we could, like, if we didn't, I don't know, if we started cutting down trees and then it was all of a sudden we're not gonna do it or something, we've already cut the trees down. Like, can we get to that 5% spend and get into safe harbor before we maybe take the trees down or something?
We're gonna, like, the contracts in and of themselves require a down payment as part of, you know, once the contract is signed and executed, there's a down payment, and that would get us beyond the 5%.
So when would that happen?
If we approved it, if things were approved today, tomorrow.
Okay, so we could qualify.
Well, we could probably, you would see the next AP bills, we could potentially actually.
I'm just trying to get to that safe harbor amount.
Within a week and a half. At the end of the week, if we really need to be more safe. So, again, like, I don't foresee the worst case scenario happening, especially with that provision. But again, if I mean, there would definitely be an issue. Now, we are under currently in our capital projects projections that were presented last spring. I think we're under those, and there'll be an update on those in April, a full update on the whole capital projects where we sit. But, you know, hopefully not worst case scenario. The kind of second possible scenario is only the Inflation Reduction Act reimbursement. It does not include any of the Renew America reimbursement, which is part of the microgrid. Basically, so if the microgrid project does not happen, then we're still kind of in that possible scenario, which is about a 6-year payback, which still is fairly decent, I think, on a 30-year investment. And then the last possible scenario is the best case scenario is everything goes through. We're able to use the Renew America, which also then increases the Inflation Reduction Act, because a lot of that microgrid also applies to the IRA, and that then gives us approximately a 2-year payback.
Do we have the capital float this if it's worst case scenario, or if there's just a delay in payments?
We do. So the Renew America grant is a reimbursement grant, and that doesn't happen until we get into the budget period 2 for the Renew America grant. We have had confirmations, I think last week, from the DOE that we are still on for the grant. And then the expected payment for the Inflation Reduction Act isn't actually going to happen until 2027. So majority of the project, you apply for it when the project is complete. So we don't expect the project to actually be complete until our fiscal year 2026. So even if we finish it on July 2nd, technically it's completed in the next fiscal year, and then we're not able to apply for the reimbursement or the tax incentive until that fiscal year is complete, which is technically June 2026. And then we have to do the tax return after the audit is done and completed. So I expect that money out sometime in November of 2026. 2027. Fiscal year 2027, right? Winter 2026.
All right, let me entertain a motion in a second to approve the solar panel contract with 93 Energy at a cost not to exceed $644,000 per weekly and $720,000 for GA growth. Motion. By Rice, second by Vicky. Any other comments or questions before we call the roll?
Any feedback on the districts that we applied with, like, are they
serious concern is, you said it, an active Congress, that's possible. And I think that accepting this, I think we have to have a high likelihood, there's a high likelihood chance that we're gonna get the full reimbursement, but there is a chance that either some or all of that funding gets pulled. So I think it still makes some economic sense, but I still lean yes, but I'm nervous about it. I'd rather not even have to think about that the government wouldn't honor their commitments, but at this point, anybody else?
Anybody else? Call roll, please.
Oh, chair.
Thank you.
Armstead. Sorry. You're first.
Actually, I'm sorry, I do have one more comment, just because, like, I think that this was a position that a lot of us took before any type of, I mean, take a piece out of it, I think that this was a commitment, that we kind of talked about multiple times, and besides for being a good way to move, in the future, and to make some money back, or at least to save funds. We always have to look at those long-term investments, and in terms of like a 6-year payback period, that is, if that's the worst that we have, well, no, but for us, that's about what it would be, if we don't get any of the other additional pieces. No,
The worst is like,
if we make no energy and we never have any, I feel like, I mean, we're still gonna have those things for more than the time that we would be paying it back. And on top of it, I just, like, it is kind of what we've always talked about in terms of that. I can't say which way, like, I understand, but like, that's right, I get that, I know, I'm saying that like, that would be, like, that's like the worst case scenario. I just think that if we're gonna make a commitment to something and to making green buildings and to having these items that really do a lot of good outside of pulling more from the grid without having these items, I feel like that probably should have been something that we stuck to well before we got to this point.
Well, I think one of the things too in your cash flow analysis here is you don't have the savings increasing because, well, I guess the efficiency of the panels go down, but the price of electricity will likely trend upwards over the long term.
Yeah, I mean, the electric bill savings on here, I just took 50% of the average of the last 4 years. So you're right, it's a constant, I foresee.
But I do think that based on, if you put that assumption out there, that the energy cost savings would be higher in some, even if it just changed by 2 or 3%, your payback would be potentially. This is still good enough to make that.
It is a very conservative. Okay.
But I agree with Jeanine too. This is kind of a district commitment, and the only reason we should do this is not just financial. There's some environmental and example savings that goes into this too.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is losing funding from the government expands far further than just this topic. I mean, we've got title grants, we've got IDEA funds, we got a lot of funds coming in, so
50% cuts at the
those are
DOE.
things that are starting to go, then we'll be talking about that. So we can't lose, I guess to your point, like we can't lose our traction on the things that we're working on. We're gonna have to adjust it if we need to.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna call the roll. Armstead.
Yes.
Rigby.
Yes.
I vote yes. Fisker.
Yes.
Dean King. Yes. Kamara.
Yes.
Friedman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I appreciate everyone's thoughtfulness. Not much we can predict in those, no, it's not easy, but you guys still do it close. Next up's committee updates. Robert, you have the NSSD.
So we got at the last board meeting, which was last week, we got a presentation on a proposed governance reorganization. So we, as a NSSEO board, are going to review that. We're gonna have a committee of the whole meeting in April, I think, the first week of April or something. 31st, yes. And by the way, thank you both, Bill and Donna, for attending that meeting, to listen in on the conversation. And it's potentially a pretty big change. So we're submitting our kind of feedback, and I think that the NSSEO board is gonna have a discussion about it, and just weigh pros and cons, and at some point the goal is to bring something back to home boards to look at, potentially some governance reorganization. There's been a lot of discussion about it, and there's an active proposal out there. We're still going back.
By governance, do you mean the school's input or the board structure or both?
Yes, basically, at a high level, the idea that has been proposed is to introduce an operational board, which will have the superintendents of all the member districts meeting on approximately monthly, I think at least 10 times a year, and then assuming basically, operational responsibilities, and then the governing board moving to quarterly meetings to set priorities and approve budgets. I don't even say set priorities, I say conduct some governance or the governance, and yes, approve some of the things that we do.
How much in the meetings are we allowed to ask you now? Because obviously, since Don and I attended, you know a little more than the other board, and after
I think
thinking about it, I did develop a couple of questions, but I don't know if this is the right opportunity to discuss them.
I think right now, I think we want to be sensitive to everybody's input, and I'm open to some general comments, but right now I'm trying to, I think, work things in a smaller group right now. Of course, we all have the opportunity to discuss it with you guys at some point. You, myself, and Dr. Meggerly have met, having individual conversations. Part of the trouble is that with Open Meetings Act, it's really hard to have conversations with more than one person at a time, and it's a complex topic. So by the time you spend a half an hour talking about it, you're like, okay, now I can start to formulate some opinions and some ideas. So, anything to add?
No, I think it's just like kind of for everybody's reference to, it's been a while since we've talked in detail, but in January, so we had met for strategic planning in December, and then in January, the 3 priorities were brought back, and so one of those priorities was the governance. Another one was instruction and programming, and the third one was facilities and finance. So this is a piece of that, and I keep calling it a draft structure that we're all still kind of
outline. It's like a draft
outline,
outline.
that we're all just kind of wrestling through, working through, but it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know where it is all in the process, to be quite honest with you, in terms of what is publicly out there yet, or still being discussed.
Well, it was discussed in detail in your public meeting.
Yes.
Last Wednesday.
Yes.
The reason I got my interest piqued is because, we all get this from, and I read through every little word, and what piqued my interest was when I got to governance, and it said a well-defined advisory and governance structure, and I was, what's the advisory, what are they talking about? So then I went to the meeting and I found out what they're considering an advisory. And I have my thoughts on that. took a lot of notes, lots of notes, and Pepper, our representative, afterwards. So at some point, I understand what he's saying. In the meeting, the superintendent said that they wanted to keep all of the questions between the NSSEO board and go through the documents and put in their questions and get those answered. And then he would bring, then after they meet and flush through what all of their board, the NSSEO board, had talked about and had their concerns, once they got that hammered out, then they would bring it to the home boards for our report.
And ultimately approval. And this would, if it is a governance change of any substance, which that's what's proposed right now, it would require a modification or a rewrite of the charter essentially, which would require the 8 member districts a unanimous vote.
Mm-hmm.
Not on the home boards, but unanimous from each board. So it's got some hurdles, but there's also an interest right now to get it in place sooner than later. I'm be honest with you, I'm not sure that's either, the talk has been before July 1st. I'm honestly not sure that's going to occur. Or necessarily have the opinion that it should. We have to go through gates here to make sure that people have input, that concerns are addressed, and that we talked about in the street sheet planning session. What we are doing is setting up systems to set up the future success of NSSEO. And some of those target goals, which I think have been discussed, but not maybe people have different opinions on how to achieve that. But one of the big objectives is to increase coordination between the member districts and NSSEO. So, making it more, aligning it more with programs and really aligning more with home districts' needs. That's a big objective, and we're already making a lot of progress here. There's been a lot of discussion, there's been meetings, there's talk and coordination, there's finances is syncing up to get some processes in place to address some of those concerns. There's already a lot happening. So I see kind of the gates here of, I think the NSSEO board members who are closest to it need to kind of go through the proposed structure. From there may be added discussions directly with some of the superintendents or not, or whatever, or we're just, it's good, pass it on to the home boards for approval. I don't know what's going on.
There's this one, I didn't have a
Microphone?
yes.
I just think to that point, I guess, I'm sure we share this, but if there's already questions coming in, then they're only from a select group. It would be good to share those answers out to the other people. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to probably ask the same questions when it comes back.
And part of what we're trying to do before making it a discussion amongst 8 different member boards times the 8 number of board members is address some of those issues that we already have.
Right.
So like I can get into more details about some of my concerns or some of your concerns or whatever, but it really we want to work those. We know it's in a draft format, so why beat up a draft until everybody's had a hand in draft? But
So if we come back and look different than what you're at now, so it makes sense to hash it out now, because it might, things might change.
yes, but I want to make sure that
Committee of the whole.
I want to make sure that my board, this home board knows that you will have absolutely, flushed out, solid information and adequate time to ask questions to make an informed decision. That is one of my absolute goals.
Are your board meetings, the video feed posted so that anybody can watch them after?
Yes.
We're doing
Lucas?
so that email from Brad, or, you can also go, it's usually posted there. I didn't see it in the last one, but, you can
again, it's one of the drafting kind of discussions, but, you know,
Sure. Yeah, that would be nice if you sent out, let us know what date and time, and we can watch it on the stream. Is it streamed live or
yeah, it's
today?
streaming now.
Okay. Got it.
We have a really nice microphone system there, if you wanna check that out.
Noted, noted.
I will say though, to, not that I necessarily doesn't need a plug, certainly for me, but, if you ever do have time to attend one of the meetings, I just recognize an organization or a student or a lot of students, or I've only attended two, but they're very uplifting. They're very uplifting to see some of the challenges that the students have, and how they overcome it. So if it's ever in your schedule, I would highly recommend attending. You know, even if it's just to see what Robert has to do when he leaves here. But it's an experience. It really is. Anything else to add? I'm sorry. Anything else to add?
No, I just live it every day, so it's not. But, no, I hear what you're saying, thank you, and thank you for all of your support, you know, the kids that, the children that we send to NSSU are our highest need students in our collective area, both here and in our high school area. And they take a lot of support, and they take a lot of money to take care of and to provide them with a, what the term is from the bill is a free and appropriate education. But, you know, I can tell you personally that it's, you know, 'cause 50 years ago, you know, my son didn't go to school. There's probably a lot of kids that didn't go to school. And, you know, to have that educational opportunity for him to make the progress he makes is transformative for him and transformative for our family. And, you know, those increments might be, you know, my son does things sometimes that are, you know, takes 6 months for him to do something that a typical kid can do in an afternoon. You know, learn how to do something, but those incremental steps do improve his quality of life and our quality of life. So I thank you and the community as a whole for all of our support and all the wonderful professionals that, you know, make this part of their lives and helping to educate all of our children, but especially, you know, especially the really high need kids. Thank you.
Next update. We had a public relations committee meeting, that's next on the agenda. I'm the chair for that. Some of the things we discussed, we looked at the calendar of events for 2024, 2025, and when I say calendar event, it's the calendar that was exposed to us so that we could sign up and see the events that are going on. We're going to continue doing that. Just kind of for everyone to see a little bit behind the curtain, there's so much going on at our 4 schools that we really lock them in on a quarterly basis. So dates may change, things may change, weather may force them to change, but we're going to continue the same process and really just, you know, obviously we have to be aware of the Open Meetings Act. We can't have more than 2 board members there, but really just to have all of us there whenever we can to get our faces out there, get our names out there, but also to experience everything that the school district is doing. So we are going to continue that for 25-26. We discussed doing another Chicago Dogs game, and we're going to kind of tack it a little differently. We always try to do it before school let out. This year we're going to attempt. Our numbers really dropped last year, so we're going to try to tweak it to see if that'll change. So we're going to do it on August 17th and try to get the PTCs involved to make like a back to school event because high schools in our area will have gone back. So we would assume that the families are done going on, if they have a high school student, of course, that would mean that they're done going on family vacations and they'll be back, and of course these kids gotta do something, so let's do a dog skate. They've already contacted me. Sundays are still family days, so it's still gonna be the players on the field and playing catch and you get autographs, and it's bottomless popcorn, bottomless pops, all the parents must know that, I'm sure. So, there's another option for that. We're going to continue doing the brewing with the board. We're going to try to maybe throw some topics on there, but not limited to those topics. it's kind of a catch-22 as we discussed it. If someone's interested in coming, but they see a topic that they may not be interested in, then they may not attend. But that's been one of the suggestions, hey, maybe you should put a topic on there so people know what to expect or what to discuss. So we're gonna try to put like a loose topic on there, but then of course say, open to whatever you want to discuss. Obviously, we still want to have board members sign up for that, because if nobody shows up, you still get a nice time to hang with you. So that always works. And then one of the other additional events that we discussed is we're going to try to do a contest for our families or for our students to show off their spirit wear during the course of the summer vacation. And maybe they go somewhere really cool and they get a nice picture of a nice Indian Grove shirt in front of Mount Rushmore. I don't know, something cool. And then
That's like the journal.
yeah.
It's like flat Stanley.
Like
For
flat
everybody who's in their
Stanley.
40s.
Lewis and I had to learn who Flat Stanley is. No clue.
I don't know what that is.
But then what we're gonna do as a committee is that we will pick the winners at the end when school gets back. We'll pick a winner at each school, and then they'll get another piece of spiritware. So we're not talking, we're not blowing the roof off the budget or anything, but that'll be what's.
When you say winner, you mean someone who has been photographed with it, like.
Who submitted a picture, and we're gonna work with, she doesn't know yet, we're with Stephanie to figure out how we do this logistically. Lewis and I don't know. So,
Great idea.
because at first I wanted to do spring break, but since we can't figure that part out yet.
He's an idea man.
Exactly. So we're gonna work with her to figure out how the families submit the pictures. Maybe they don't do it till they come back to school. Can they do it during the course of the summer? That's what we're gonna figure out. But again, we've got time before summer break starts anyway, so.
It's a great idea.
It should be fun.
Great idea.
It should be fun.
Can we participate too?
And then we did discuss keeping the generous RTA dinners, which have been great for both sides. And as we've discussed in the past, we're going to stop them when negotiations start, just to be on the safe side. Again, we don't anticipate any issues, but we just think that's a logical time to pause them, not stop, we want to pause them, and then bring them back up when the process is over. The last thing we discussed very loosely, because there's a lot that still has to go on, but we're also going to do the Indian Grove ribbon cutting ceremony, assuming everything goes great. We're going to combine open house with the ribbon cutting, which is the same way we did it at Euclid, since the parents already have a reason to have to be there, and so does the board. So we crammed a lot in 20 minutes, 26 minutes. Yeah. So that's my update. Next is RTEF, Mr. Smart.
The RTEF is the River Trails Education Foundation, and all of the proceeds that they get from their fundraisers go toward funding most, if not all, of every individual student in the district's ability to go see a live performance. And their biggest fundraiser of the year is the annual plant sale, which is taking place on May 10th, the Saturday before Mother's Day. It'll be here at the middle school, as it always has been. There should be flyers going out to the district in various forms, email, postcards, Snapchats, you name it. You won't get it, pigeons.
Only pigeons.
And so just pick out your flowers by April 11th, and you can send our students to a lot more live performances next year.
Great, thank you.
Is there
I'm sorry.
anything else?
All right, next up is the President's Report. Upcoming events, Indian Grove has the second grade music sharing on March 20th at 6:30 p.m. Tomorrow at Euclid, we will have the Indian Grove Parent Construction Update meeting. That's at 6 o'clock. Here at the middle school, we will have a band concert on, it was yesterday, March 10th at 7 p.m. Fine Arts production on March 19th. As Robert mentioned, we have the Little Mermaid performance next week. On Wednesday, important board meeting dates. Our next meeting is on April 8th. It'll be here at 7 o'clock. And we're on spring break from the 24th to the 28th already. That's the president's update. Next up is the superintendent's report. Dr. Gregory, please.
Okay. There it is. All right, 2 items on the superintendent's report. It's really just kind of giving you a preview of what's coming for summer school. Obviously, we have our traditional summer school, and we've got some new things So I really just kind of charged Christy with coming up with something that would run throughout the course of the summer to give families and students something else, or it's just something to do other than the park district, in addition to what we offer our traditional summer school. So basically, traditional summer school is going to look identical to what it has for the last few years. It is focused on our special education, and thank you, special education students, and targeted math and literacy focus for gen ed students. And so, as usual, those first 3 weeks in June, Monday through Friday, grades K through 5. And so we've always partnered with the Park District as well to offer a camp following summer school. And so it's only taken 6 years, but we finally coordinated an online link with the Park District to send out with our invite. So hopefully that registration for those kids and those families will be a little bit smoother. So some of the new items in summer school is Camp Invention. I'm sure you're all talking about it. So that, Alicia's been talking about that for a couple of years, and honestly, it works perfectly with what we're trying to accomplish. Again, giving parents some more opportunities throughout the summer. So that will be from the 11th through the 15th, and that's a full day for grades 1 through 5. Pretty cool. 10 middle school counselors in training. I think, I wrote it in my notes, but I think Alicia said she got like 6, how many camp counselors in training applications?
Oh gosh, probably close to 60.
Yeah, I would say 60. And so that's pretty amazing. That, and actually that's good information because our middle schoolers are looking for some leadership opportunities. So we'll keep that in the back of our mind. So again, that's just another cool opportunity in addition to the camp is having those kids be counselors. So that is filled, and that gives 130 spots for kids. And then we have a middle school, summer school enrichment, a lot of fun, different sessions, but that's running throughout the course of the summer. 3 sessions, 13 different courses, 17 sessions. So some courses are running multiple times throughout the summer, and that's over 500 spots available for kids to do something over the summer. So I think those registrations filled up pretty quickly. I think we have in there 168 registrations as of 3/3, and they had opened very just shortly prior to that. So it's been very popular. So that's really great for us. We are charging a little bit for summer school. We didn't want to overcharge to turn families away, but we wanted families to own that spot that they're taking from another family. So I feel like it's a reasonable cost for summer school that brings in some revenue on our end, but doesn't, makes it doable for families. Many of us have high school kids, and we pay a lot of money for high school kids, so we have that as a comparison. And for reference, we are nowhere near what that school fan is charging, but again, just some kind of like skin in the game so that they don't sign things up and then it's just, no, we don't need to. So we're excited about that.
Really quick, when will you let families, or when, I know there was a date in there, I'm so sorry that I don't remember.
For camp convention.
Yeah, for all,
We're
yeah.
shooting for this week, and by the end of this week, to send out an email to families for camp convention.
Awesome.
And for middle school enrichment, we are not at capacity yet. So people who are signing up are fine. And if once it's full, you can't sign up anymore, so you'll know that there are no spaces.
Oh, no, I signed up for everything. Yeah, no, I mean, like, literally. Yeah. So that's the only reason I'm wanting to know when I need to start paying. Okay.
So we didn't get approval for Mr. Timmons' camp construction, that it didn't go.
Yeah, that would've been awesome.
Thought we were in,
Destruction would be fun.
Okay, good on that?
Doings.
Okay, so next is parent-teacher advisory committee. Okay, gonna kind of go through the why, what, and the how here. So basically, parent-teacher advisory committee is something that is required by both the school code and our policy. And so I'm bringing it up because I've been struggling with it. I intended to get it going when I was in Carrie's position, and then we went into COVID. From my knowledge, I don't know that we've ever had this in play here. We had a pseudo, my best connection would be a pseudo kind of committee that we ran through the curriculum committee. We met some of the compliance pieces when we, I don't know if y'all remember, when we had a curriculum committee. That committee was short-lived, only met a few times, but we met some of the compliance pieces through that committee when it was a standing committee. That's as close as we've gotten. And then that committee dissolved, and now again, here we are, we don't have this going right now. So in the next slide, not that I'm gonna read it, but it just gives you a summary of what the school code says about this parent advisory committee. I've highlighted this piece because it really is supposed to be a collaborative approach, and the goal is to make sure that our policies are in place and that they are being implemented.
And I do want to note, like, so prior to COVID, I think sometimes we used like a strategic plan, like we used some different pieces to meet this, and then we had that short-lived, just because of COVID, at Euclid, there was a group where they had parents coming in to do some conversations, and it was almost like a community outreach piece where they were getting multilingual, or feedback on multilingual programs. So there were a couple things that even before that we're meeting this, but I know that we talked about it. And I do not want to blame everything on COVID, but COVID did kind of send us off task. So I'd love to see it back, because I know that there were a bunch of efforts that various people put in. I think it was in and grow prior to joining us, and or Mr. Jones, and before Karen, I think was here too. So there were a couple of things that were getting set up, and yeah, it was unfortunate.
This is where we're at. So in our policy, so here's the piece of it. This is a standing board committee, and I know we reviewed this policy, but again, somehow we didn't really attack this, but and so it kind of talks a little bit about, gives some definition in the policy. And so we've never, not yet, or not that I know of, we don't have a board member appointed to the committee. I don't think I've ever seen that on any of our like docs or anything like that. And so, kind of that brings me to the what. So one, I want to check this, I want to get this going and get it checked off my list so that I can sleep at night. Like I mentioned, we don't have a board member appointed yet to the committee. And so the big question is, do you all want to see this operate as a board committee, or would you like to transition it to a superintendent committee? In the policy section, right underneath standing board committees, are superintendent committees that can, happen by my way. It's kind of like probably the benefits committee would be considered like a superintendent committee. Brian runs that. There's a board member who attends. They meet regularly, but it's not a standing board committee. So I'm bringing this to you for your wisdom. I do have a proposal. Feel free to take it or not. But my proposal is really just to transition it to a superintendent committee. I think, again, it would function similar to the benefits committee. Part of the reason is that if it's supposed to be collaborative in nature, a board committee set up with an OMA is not very collaborative to parents and the public being a shared part of that process. So that I'm just struggling to see how that would work. I did talk to every superintendent. I had Patty last summer reach out to all of her connections. Do you guys have this committee, and if so, how does it run? I would say half and half. Half run it as a board committee, half run it as a superintendent committee. So I don't think there is a preferred way, one over the other. And then, just as like Louis provided a report tonight on the RTEF, we could have that representative provide a summary to the board. So I could run it either way, but I think as a superintendent committee, it would be more of an annual committee to review, the policies and some of the procedures, and then we would report back to the board. I would suggest that whoever is on this committee be from the policy committee, because so many, all of these are connected. So it really is would be very helpful for you. I mean, we talk about a lot of these are like hot topic kinds of things, like restraining time out, discipline, things that come up in policy very frequently. So, questions, comments, thoughts, opinions?
When would that committee meet for those of us who were full-time?
It says annual, so
I mean,
there's
time of day.
Like,
Would be the middle of the day, would be at night.
like all the rest.
It's just a meeting.
Mhm.
One meeting? I know that's what I usually.
One would meet the requirement, but I mean, if there's issues and things need to be discussed, I'm assuming they.
I think multiple times a year would also get tricky, because part of this is notification. So like any updates, anything that gets changed in policy procedure, that I would put in our calendar, our handbook, and then that gets sent out. And that's part of this is making sure everybody's notified on when this meets. So meeting multiple times a year would mess up that flow, but something that you can do early.
Well, yeah, and to back it up, I mean, press comes out when press comes out. I feel like, I mean, like, it's not just quarterly.
Correct. And so you really have no idea what changes you're gonna encounter. You couldn't meet to keep up with press, but, so.
Well, if the purpose of this whole thing is to make sure that the parent-teacher advisory committee is to make sure that all of the policies, et cetera, are out there for the parents and community and will follow them. They don't. It's just one time. You sit down and say, okay, here's what they've done up until June 30th. Let's say they meet on July 10th. And they say, yep, check, and that's it.
I think that a superintendent-led committee with maybe a board delegate from the policy committee as a advisor or would be sufficient on an annual basis.
Yep.
Because we would also, I mean, parents would be part of it. That's part of it is learning parents.
And the same thing with
And staff.
the same thing with parents, it would probably be a PTC president or vice president, someone from their group.
It could be.
It's just interesting that it came out in press as a board committee, but when you read how it's written in the school code, it doesn't seem it should be a board committee, so it's just.
If we adopt it as a superintendent committee, do we have to change our policy?
Yeah, we can do that next time. I'm sure as soon as I speak the words, a press packet will come out.
With an update.
Yes.
Well, and we, like, this has been on the docket for like a while, like, we keep revisiting it, so it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I mean, I agree with your recommendation. I think it allows for a more open conversation between the parties that are involved.
Yeah, so we would probably, I would tell Carrie to organize it before the end of the school year. You know, maybe, I don't know, we would figure that out, but policy may not be changed, but we're not following the policy anyway, so, we would meet get a first one under our belt, meet the requirement, and then next time you get progress or what have you, we'll change that.
So this would be for the entire district, not each school?
No.
Each school would not, okay. Because I remember a time when it was the principal
Well, that's
of
something that we're talking, June's referring to.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, there was a time when, okay.
Because it really is more higher level.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the policies and the procedures will influence building, protocols, but if we're not following, say, if we're not aligned to what the policy says or the law or what have you, then that'll trickle down, not so good.
Yeah.
Any comments, questions over here? Wanna make sure that we're all-
That's it.
Just to kind of piggyback to that, G and I have done this annually, we're gonna meet and kind of go over committee assignments for the next year. I mentioned at our last meeting, if there's anything you desperately want or desperately don't want, please let me know. I would say within by Monday. I don't know when we're gonna meet, we haven't decided it yet, but if you could let me know. And if you don't, then I'll just, then I know you're okay with whatever. So, but obviously, we're not gonna move Robert. You already said you wanted to stay, so that's the one that's locked in.
You can still move me if you want, I mean, it's the board's decision, but I'd like to stay.
Good, correct. Well ordered, much better.
Yeah.
Our plan so far is to keep Robert as our NSSCO representative, and then the other ones we kind of shuffle around. So if there's anything you want to know, please let me know by Monday, and then at some point.
Spring break. Yes.
All right, next up is our policy 20120, which is communication to the board. We did not receive any emails, so we've done to share. Future topics, we currently do not have any pending future topics. Is there a topic that somebody would like to have considered for future consideration? Hearing none, will you have a motion and a second to adjourn tonight's meeting at 8:54? Moved by Friedman, seconded by Key. Could you please call roll?
Fisker,
Yes.
I vote yes. Ronstadt,
Yes.
Bianchini,
Yes.
Friedland,
Yes.
Camardo,
Yes.
and Gray.
Yes.
We're adjourned.
All right, we'll see you on April 8th. Not before,
Got some niches that coordinating with each other, like,
His birthday party.
but I did just